Long live Poland. Long live Poland. Thank you very, very much.
In Poland's first post-war parliament to include a real and free opposition, President Bush delivers his message of U.S. support to let freedom ring all across Poland.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting tonight from the Lanov Palace in Warsaw. Good evening. This centuries-old building is one of the few places in Poland that survived World War II's devastation and Poland's oppression. A landmark of Polish independence and patriotism. President Bush today gave carefully measured encouragement to Poland's new democratic spirit. He gave at least a little more hope to those who want Poland to lead Eastern Europe out of the Soviet orbit and show the way to democracy and freedom. The president was careful not to offend Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev, nor Poland's own communist leadership. He was also careful not to raise expectations, especially about money from America. He stressed self-help for Poland. Mr. Bush walked a tightrope diplomatically in a country at the end of its rope economically.
Early on a scorching hot day in Warsaw, President Bush's first public stop of the day, Poland's Tomb of the Unknown War Dead in Victory Square. The public turnout included both Poles and American tourists. The crowd surprisingly small, but you could feel the warmth from the Polish people right away. This woman told me she tried to see President Bush when he first arrived late last night. Such a good family man, she says. I just had to come back here and see him today. This librarian hopes for more English-language books in the libraries of Poland. And, yes, she says, she is a member of Solidarity.
Now we are becoming a free country, and so each person can have his own opinion.
On this very square, where not long ago the world witnessed communist authorities blowing away freedom-seeking Poles with water cannons, President Bush has come today to bear witness to the dismantling of the Stalinist system imposed on this country 45 years ago.
There were some awkward, puzzling moments. At lunch at the U.S. ambassador's residence, Mr. Bush sat at the Solidarity table, not with communist leader Wojciech Jaruzelski. At the central event of the day, the president's address to the first Polish parliament with a strong Solidarity contingent, Lech Wałęsa was not there. Everyone was quick to explain that tomorrow is Wałęsa's day with Mr. Bush. Today, President Bush praised General Jaruzelski and sent a strong signal to Mikhail Gorbachev not to worry about U.S. intentions.
And so the West works not to disrupt, not to interfere, not to threaten any nation's security, but to help forge closer and enduring ties between Poland and the rest of Europe.
Mr. Bush offered some help on Poland's massive foreign debt, some seed money for free enterprise, and some environmental help.
There can be no substitute for Poland's own efforts. But I want to stress to you today that Poland is not alone. Given the enormity of this moment, the United States stands ready to help as you help yourselves.
Perhaps the most touching event of the day, Mr. Bush's stop at what was the Warsaw Ghetto, where thousands of Jews were rounded up and sent to Nazi death camps. Poland's only rabbi attends. So does the only surviving commander of the Warsaw Ghetto resistance. A stark marble wall of names is all that is left of Warsaw's 300,000 Jews. When the ceremonies end, it is here, for one of the few times this day, that President Bush lingers and mingles with, again, the small crowd of people on the street.
One poll here just said President Bush is pulling a Gorbachev. He's back there, pressing the flesh, shaking hands with the crowds. Rounds of applause and the polls singing to President Bush, "May you live 100 years."
And while the crowds are small, they have opinions by the dozens. In a state where there used to be only one opinion, the States. The communists have nothing to say now, says this man. They've lost everything. A young woman compares communism to fascism. The communists have destroyed so much, she says. They've destroyed people's souls.
Joining me now inside Villanova Palace, CBS News White House correspondent Leslie Stahl.
Dan, incredible room.
Leslie, you were inside the Parliament today when the President spoke. What was that like?
It was just like walking into a history book. They had the press up in the balcony, and next to us was the government of Poland. The government people were sitting in the balcony because they had lost the election. They couldn't be seated on the floor. On the floor were people who were in the Polish underground only a month or so ago, people who were in jail just a couple of months ago. And here was the President of the United States, the man they were turning to for help, to help bail them out, the arch rival of the Soviet Union. Everything was upside down, but so historic.
Did he deliver for them?
Well, Solidarity says Poland needs $10 billion in aid and an infusion of money to pull themselves out of their problems. George Bush brought them $115 million in aid, $100 million for private entrepreneurs to help them start business in this country, and another $15 million in technology to clean up their air and water. They have terrible environmental problems here. But the delegates I spoke to said it wasn't enough. He did a little more. He said he'd help restructure their debt, which is $39 billion. It's crushing. And that he'd go to the other industrialized countries and the world banking institutions and ask them to help. But these delegates felt that he'd basically promised them more. He had said in the past that if they reformed, he'd give them help. And they just didn't feel that he was living up to his promise to them.
He disappointed them. Was the White House disappointed by how small the crowds here in Warsaw were for the President?
Well, I think they were very surprised. Coming in on the plane, people told us on the record that there would be tens of thousands of people out enthusiastically to greet him this morning. And I think the crowd estimate was 1,000. No Bush-o-mania in Warsaw. But he does go to Gdansk tomorrow, and they are expecting large crowds up there. We'll see.
Thank you, Leslie. I'll be back with more news of the day, and then more about this summer on the brink of democracy and change in Poland.
As we begin our special report on the President's trip and the new face of Europe.
Time for a quick break and one of my favorite quick snacks, Sunsweet pitted prunes. Surprised? I don't know why. They're good for you and they're delicious. Rounder, plumper, Sunsweet.
You've suffered through all kinds of diets and regimens, but if you don't get enough protein when you're dieting to lose fat, you might lose muscle. Protein can help you keep muscle while you lose fat, and Special K has the highest level of dietary protein available in a cereal. So one reason for including the under 200 calorie Special K breakfast in a balanced diet is rather obvious. Special K. Keep the muscle. Lose the fat.
Pain. Pain that throbs. Aches. Pain that pulses. Remember, there is a wonder drug for pain like this. The wonder drug doctors themselves take more often for pain. The wonder drug doctors take more than extra strength Tylenol, more than Advil. More doctors take Bayer for pain. Bayer is the wonder drug that works wonders.
I eat nutritious meals with plenty of fruit and vegetables. So how come I'm the one with painful gas?
Surprise! Foods high in nutrition are often high in gas. But Gas X gets rid of the gas, so you feel better fast. Eat right and feel right with Gas X.
Back again in Warsaw and in the ornate marble hall of the 17th century palace, more news of the 20th century. The world's most expensive warplane revved up its engines for the first time today in preparation for its long-awaited maiden flight. Pentagon correspondent David Martin has the story.
Looking like it came from another planet, the stealth bomber today began a series of what could be make-or-break tests in preparation for its first flight expected later this week.
We did 3 taxi tests this morning at different speeds up to 90 knots.
$22 billion already has been spent on the program, but so far the plane has flown only in computer simulation. On today's maiden voyage down the runway, Pentagon officials were anxious to see if it performed the way the computer said it would. You can see just how radical the radar-evading design is when your view of the plane changes from head-on to the side. You can't even see the engines. According to the Air Force, all systems are go.
The tests were, we consider at this point in time to have been conducted successfully.
The first flight of any aircraft is a dramatic moment, but the stealth bomber already is in so much political trouble because of its price tag that officials fear it will not survive if it fails its first flight test. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Wildfires that destroyed thousands of acres flared in 8 states today. Lightning caused most of the fires, and high temperatures complicated efforts to control the flames. Bob McNamara has our report.
Today it was an air war against the wildfires ravaging homes and timber in the mountain foothills near Boulder, Colorado. Here, at least 49 houses were destroyed or damaged in just 24 hours. And this morning, the homeless came back to see what little was left.
Well, everything I own is gone. I didn't even have a chance to grab my wallet. So everything I have is in there. It's gone.
But nearby, Ralph Butt's house escaped destruction by inches.
Strange things happen sometimes in these, but it's not just luck.
Last night, as fires burned near their homes, many stayed, cars packed, ready to run.
You just look at your house and wonder what's important. I guess the most important thing is yourself.
From Arizona to Alaska now, 30,000 fires in 10 rain-starved states have burned 1.25 million acres, and the fires have been deadly. A California prison inmate dying after hit by a falling tree while fighting a blaze near Big Sur. And though fires stopped tourists from viewing southern Colorado's Mesa Verde Indian cliff dwellings, officials say the ancient site is not in danger yet. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Boulder, Colorado.
Chase Manhattan, the nation's second largest bank, today cut its prime lending rate 0.5 percentage point to 10.5%. The prime is used to calculate a variety of loans to consumers and small business. A St. Louis bank made a similar cut last week. A gloomy report today on housing for the nation's poor and its minorities. The report is the result of a study by a private Washington group that used government information. Mark Phillips has the details.
It's a simple equation and a recipe for disaster. A study of federal statistics by a Washington research group has shown that while in the 1970s there were roughly enough low-rent housing units for the poor, through the 80s the number of poor has increased by 25%, while low-rent units have dropped by 20%. The reasons? Less federal money for subsidized housing and the gentrification of urban neighborhoods forcing the poor out. The result? Rents are up. Many poor families, particularly black and Hispanic, are now forced to spend as much as 70% of their income on rent.
Those people are on the edge. One missed paycheck, one uninsured illness for a child can tip them over the edge into homelessness.
It's almost like being in a sand pit, and the harder you try to crawl out of it, the quicker the sand comes down, the deeper you sink into it.
You don't have to go far to find examples of the government's own statistics. This is, or was, the Fort DuPont public housing project, barely 2 miles from Capitol Hill. It was once a convenient, even desirable public housing project. In the past 10 years, it's become a rundown, abandoned garbage heap and ghost town. Unless housing money becomes available, the writers of today's studies say Fort DuPont could become the look of the future. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Washington.
Israel's government was thrown into crisis today when Labor Party leaders voted to dissolve their coalition with the right-wing Likud party. Labor Party leader Shimon Peres said Likud violated the coalition agreement last week when it voted to attach tough new conditions to the government's plan for elections in the occupied Arab territories. However, Peres left room for negotiations over the next few weeks. Saudi Arabia reports tonight that some Muslim pilgrims were injured by 2 bomb explosions in the holy city of Mecca. No one has yet claimed responsibility. The blasts came at the height of a feud Saudi Arabia is having with Iran. Iran is boycotting the annual pilgrimage to Mecca, claiming it has been corrupted by the Saudis' royal regime.
For the same calories in this, you could be enjoying this. This is low in fat, but so is Baskin-Robbins' new Low, Light, and Luscious with NutraSweet. It's sugar-free, 97% fat-free, 1/3 less calories than ice cream, and a taste that's all Baskin-Robbins.
Hot tea all day doesn't stop this dentuera from hitting high C.
Hot tea? Fix-it-ent and forget it.
Give up hot chocolate just because I started wearing dentures? Scamp!
Hot chocolate? Fix-it-ent and forget it. Heat-resistant Fix-It-Ent spreads evenly to keep on fixing loose spots, no matter how often it gets hot.
I can drink hot coffee all day.
and still help a lady. Heat resistant. One more reason to use Fix-It and forget it.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay. Josie, would you please read yours?
My summer vacation. We left for 2 weeks to go to Yellowstone. That was Saturday. Then Daddy's money got stolen and we had to come home. That was Sunday.
It could happen to you right here in the U.S., so don't carry cash. Carry American Express traveler's checks. Don't leave home without.
How strong is Extra Strength Tums EX? Heartburn strikes, Tums strikes back. Heartburn's gone that fast. Tums EX, twice as strong, twice as fast as regular Rolaids.
This is the heart of Warsaw. Old Town, bombed out and risen from the ashes of World War II. Not just rebuilt, but completely restored to the exact same specifications as the original. Symbol of a proud Polish people, determined to preserve their own identity and to outlast their oppressors. No Pole is prouder nor more determined than the man whose house President Bush goes to tomorrow. Lech Wałęsa, the electrician from Gdansk, who is leading the movement to pull the plug on the communist system here. Wałęsa has always called himself a worker, not a politician. But only days ago, Lech Wałęsa sat in Parliament, side by side with the man who had him jailed and had Solidarity outlawed for 7 years, Wojciech Jaruzelski. I asked Lech Wałęsa what that felt like, to be there side by side with Jaruzelski, when I talked with him Sunday in his garden in Gdansk.
I'm a politician now. Of course, when I see him just as a human being, I think he's in a difficult position. Oftentimes, I feel compassion for him as a human being. But as a politician, I'm doing my best so that my policies will be successful, no matter who's on the other side.
It's funny, you know, as a journalist, I don't look upon you as a politician. I tend to think of you as a revolutionary, not as a politician.
I was born to change things, to solve problems. In fact, I'm mad at myself because I'm still solving problems. I'd rather stop doing this, but I can't. There are still a few problems out there for me to solve. Also, I think life would be boring if a man were just to drift. Drifting without a sense, without emotions. That just isn't a good life. Am I a revolutionary? No. I just happen to live in a system that has failed. Doing this just isn't any fun.
You say we're in a new era, beginning a new era. If this fails...
It cannot fail. I'm quite sure of victory. When I was being taken to prison in 1981, I laughed in their faces. I won. I said to them, sooner or later we'll meet again and we'll be down on your knees begging me to join the reform movement. Maybe I went too far when I asked them to get down on their knees, but anyone who puts out his hand to try and stop the moving wheel of history will get his fingers crushed. It's all a question of the right time.
Personal opinion, does Gorbachev last?
Personally, I admire him. It's incredible. He's so good at juggling. He has 20 balls in the air at the same time. I don't know how he does it. He has a very difficult task in front of him, but he keeps juggling. One may admire him, but one doesn't know how this is going to end.
Do I understand that while you'd like for him to succeed, that you're not sure he can?
This course is certainly going to prevail. Again, it's the question of the price to be paid and when it's going to happen. It's always the hardest for the reformers. It's almost never the case that the first reformers succeed. Only later do others come along to finish a job. Everyone would like to succeed, just as I and Gorbachev would like to succeed. But this is all in the hands of God. And lucky for me, I believe in him.
Lech Wałęsa, an extraordinary man. I'll have more news from Poland in a moment, so stay here with us.
Have you read about the Surgeon General's report?
Oh, I'll get to it right after my grape nuts.
It says Americans should be eating more complex carbohydrates.
Can you make that simple?
They're energy sustaining, so they help you get through the morning. And grape nuts is loaded with them.
So while I'm enjoying this great nutty taste, I get those complex...
Complex carbohydrates to help you get through the morning.
Oh. Who would have thought these little things could do so much?
Who?
Post Grape Nut Cereal, the one and only.
They weren't expecting a 70-year-old coach, that's for sure. But I held my own.
All right, come on.
They never even saw how scared I was. I wouldn't have tried for this job if it hadn't been for AARP. They've got a program that convinces employers that it's smart to hire people like me. I'm not old. People are people. Some of us have just had a little more practice. That's all.
AARP, making a difference.
Somewhere there's got to be a cure for athlete's foot.
Step up to the mic.
Mike?
Micatin. It cured my athlete's foot. It's got something the others don't. Miconazole.
There's nothing more powerful. Hey!
I'm giving away advice, not Micatin.
Say, what you got for my athlete's foot?
Step up to the mic.
Mike?
Micatin. It cures athlete's foot. There's even a deodorant Micatin.
Then I'll take the Micatin. To go.
Step up to the cure. Step up to the mic. Micatin. Look for new economy size powder.
Joining me now at Milanov Palace is CBS News correspondent Bob Simon, who's been covering Poland on and off since 1970. Bob, I don't get a sense of joy of victory in the air here. Why?
Dan, there's a startling discrepancy between political achievements, which are recent and remarkable, and the economic crisis, which is deepening. There's less food available now than at any time since the beginning of martial law. Inflation is totally out of control, and rage is barely under control.
And fatigue deep and abiding.
And people are tired and suspicious. They're convinced that the communists invited Solidarity into Parliament not at all to share power, but to share the blame for the harsh and hard measures which will have to be taken.
It's not often that Polish eyes are smiling, but they beamed when those results came in. They shined again last week watching their new blue-jeaned legislators file into Parliament. For Solidarity, the good news was they'd won. Bad news? The prize was Poland. Their leaders were wary of the smiles, warned against euphoria.
You see, euphoria could quite easily turn into sort of bitterness and resentment and rejection and even frustration.
Countless Poles celebrated the Solidarity victory standing on line. In Warsaw this week, there are shortages of meat, milk, flour, sugar, and hope. There are shortages of just about everything except lines.
Żeby dostać jakiś ochłap jeden i nie przywożą w ogóle towarów.
For 4 days and 4 nights, people have been standing outside this shop just to get a piece of meat, she says. He says prices are rising. The old government is taking revenge on us. Solidarity hands are no longer thrown up in defiance, but in participation, and that could be the problem. What difference can we make, asks rural Solidarity leader and farmer Gabriel Janowski. Parliament is pretty, but the old guard runs the system. Look at this rural supply depot, he says. It should have tractors and feed and fertilizer, but all it does have is coal because it's summertime and nobody needs it. Look at Witold Lukowski, 67 years old, alone on his farm with his wife and his daughter. Whenever he saves enough money to buy a tractor, they raise the price. Whenever he tries to hire farmhands, there aren't any around. People are leaving the countryside. He won't sell his animals because the price is too low. The government won't raise prices because then consumers couldn't buy. Solidarity used to attack government policy in underground leaflets. Now it's got a daily newspaper with a circulation of 500,000. It's printed on government-issued paper from a government-controlled plant in what's increasingly being called post-communist Poland. But when you go to these state-run plants, these monuments to inertia, you find employees who say they pretend to work while the government pretends to pay them. They punch in, they say, and wait around until they can start standing on line again. You're not allowed to film here, she says. He says, don't worry about the cameras, worry about the meat. You people have been bossing us around for 40 years. That's finished. First it was Hitler, then it was Stalin, now these guys. Enough of this, he says. I haven't experienced anything good in my life. I've had enough of this. I'm completely tired. We're all so tired. Talking to you now, she says, I have tears in my eyes. All over Poland, workers, peasants, intellectuals are meeting, forming cells, plotting to overthrow the system, the communist system, with its implacable army of bureaucrats. Solidarity has warm popular support. What it's asking for now is patience from people who've seen many prayers unanswered, but still have an intractable faith in salvation. If we were to think that it would continue like this, she says, it wouldn't be worth living. Now we have intelligent people in Warsaw, he says. Before, they were just the red hooligans. Long live Wałęsa, they sing. Things will be different now, no more shortages. Stalin once said, bringing communism to Poland is like fitting a cow with a saddle. Solidarity is now saddled with the unbearable burden of being Poland's only hope.
Dan, one Solidarity member said to me yesterday, you know, nobody's ever dismantled a communist system before. We're going to have to be really inventive. And he added, if the Americans want to help us, they're going to have to be really inventive too.
Bob Simon, thanks. Tomorrow, we'll travel with President Bush to Gdansk, Poland, for the meeting with Lech Wałęsa. We'll be there too, and tomorrow night, we'll be broadcasting from Budapest, Hungary. Next country on President Bush's schedule, as we continue looking at the new face of communism in Europe. For now, that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather with Bob Simon, reporting from Warsaw. See you tomorrow. Good night.
You've just been caught knocking off the Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran. What's the most intelligent way to respond?
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran? Define the word eat. Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran? Yeah. Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran? Yo, Mom, your shoelace.
With the crunchy sweet taste of Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran, an open box is an empty box.
Why is there a block party on Delos Drive?
There really are winners? Oh, come on, we're having a party.
Bernie Bonet just won big money from Publishers Clearinghouse.
Totally, completely speechless. I finally know somebody who won one. But somebody really does win.
Now Publishers Clearinghouse wants you to win $10 million. Watch your mail for the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes and send it in right away. On August 3rd, you could be a millionaire.
Isn't that nice to see the good guys win once in a while?
If you treat your hemorrhoidal problems with a cream, try new Preparation H Cream, a soothing cream with a pleasant scent. It helps shrink swelling of tissues as it often relieves pain and itching for hours. New Preparation H Cream from doctor-recommended Preparation H.
With low back pain, every step shoots pain. Up here. Know what helps?
Clinically proven Back Guard, a shoe insert. Watch how it absorbs foot shock to relieve low back pain.
Amazing. Something down here can help up here.
Back Guard from Dr. Scholl's.
I'm Harry Smith in Poland. Tomorrow, President Bush is meeting with Lech Wałęsa and the abortion debate here in Poland tomorrow on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.